The clock is ticking down to the 0 hour when America swears in its 45th President of the United States.
And you know, for more than 2 centuries, it's been a carefully choreographed ceremony, but no 2 inaugurations are ever alike.
The biggest moment of an historic day. The eyes and ears of the entire world are directed to this impressive, simple ceremony, true to the tradition of the democracy.
We start at the beginning. George Washington's 1793 inaugural address was the shortest, almost Twitter-esque, only 135 words. William Henry Harrison's was the longest, nearly 2 hours. He refused to wear an overcoat that cold day and died a month later of pneumonia. Grover Cleveland gave his address without a script. It's probably better to write things down.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Jefferson's was the first at the Capitol. Most presidents were then sworn in on the building's east side. It was Reagan, always the showman, starting a new tradition on the west side to get a better view of the mall, of course.
At the end of this open mall are those shrines to the giants on whose shoulders we stand.
James Buchanan's in 1857 was the first captured in this fancy thing called a photograph. And in a photo 4 years later at Lincoln's first inaugural, you can actually see the Capitol dome still under construction. In 1897, William McKinley's was the first to be captured on motion picture cameras.
We have a remarkably intimate picture of President McKinley.
And in 1925, Coolidge, the first to be heard on the radio. It'd be more than 2 decades later before Truman is sworn in on television in 1949. And Clinton's second inaugural, the first to be streamlined online. Presidents are trendsetters. John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson were the first to wear full-length trousers instead of knee-length ones, thankfully. Kennedy was the last to wear a top hat. Nancy Reagan kept the hat thing going for a little while, first in red and then in blue. But Hillary Clinton was the last first lady to don one. Weather can be a factor. There have been major snowstorms. The warmest inauguration was Reagan's first, 55 degrees. But the coldest was Reagan's second, just 7 degrees. So cold, it was held inside. It was also Super Bowl Sunday. Niners beat the Dolphins 38-16, Joe Montana MVP. But I digress. George W. Bush's was the first time a former president attended his son's inauguration. Obama and Johnson both screwed up their oaths. Obama got a do-over the next day. Abraham Lincoln was the first to include African Americans in his parade. Dwight Eisenhower was lassoed by a cowboy. He seemed not to actually mind it, though. The parties can get rowdy. Andrew Jackson's open house in 1829 nearly destroyed the White House. He escaped out the back door. The house still smelled like cheese a month later, however. The Clintons had an all-time high 14 inaugural balls, including one featuring the king. But only the Obamas had the queen.
Yes, they did. What a beautiful moment that was.
What a moment it was, indeed. You know what stuck with me from that whole package?
Yeah.
That President Obama is one of the best orators, but he actually screwed up his own oaths. It makes me feel human.
He needed it scripted. But Michael Jackson?
I know.
At an inauguration?
Amazing.
Amazing.